Peripherals, a fantastic charity, so please give if you can by following the link in the stream description or by typing in the link that you can see scrolling across your screen on our information bar. Every little helps, and we'll be reading out donations periodically through the show. We now have Steb with Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. Please introduce yourself, and whenever you're ready, give us a countdown.
Oh, geez, we're on.
Track of your time.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry you had to all witness this. Yeah, this is Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, which is a game you might not have heard of. I mean, you might have heard of the show. I should hope that you're familiar with the character. I mean, if you're not, honestly, where have you been for the last 20 years? But yeah, basically what happened was, way back when like Disney still made animated things, they made a thing for Disney Channel that was like a cartoon based on Buzz Lightyear that was supposed to be essentially like the thing that Buzz Lightyear the toy in Toy Story was based on. Like, it came from this show, was supposed to be the idea. And it was a pretty good show in my opinion, like a fun Saturday morning kind of thing. And they made a game of it, and that's what this is. And 20 years later, I'm playing it to raise money for charity at one of the biggest gaming conventions in the UK. How has this happened? So yeah, this is the New Game Plus All Bosses category, which basically means we start on a completed file, and we don't do any of the side activities, which I'll explain a little bit more in depth as we go into the run. But yeah, basically we just need to beat the bad guys and not focus on doing anything else. This is my co-commentator, Turtle.
Hi. I'm just sitting here chilling, watching.
Yeah, he's just here for the banter. You know how it is. So once I press start, once I move over the screen, that will be when time begins. We all good? Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. Let's get into the run. So right away, we're going to get into Joad 1, skip an FMV cutscene. And right away, you see the kind of budget we have to work with here. Good old polygonal Patrick Warburton Buzz Lightyear here, just chasing some random ne'er-do-well to his getaway spot, and then they're going to have a little bit of a shootout. You know how it is. So yeah, the layout of the game is basically, it's sort of a 3D platformer type of thing, kind of like a... I like to think of it as kind of like a Crash Bandicoot type of thing, where you're moving like forward linearly through the levels instead of having to do like platforming challenges and moving like up in the level and such. Except you've got like a bunch of space guns and more Saturday morning voice actors. They actually managed to get most of the cast back from the show, which is pretty impressive, including, as I say, Patrick Warburton as Buzz Lightyear. They got him instead of Tim Allen. I've not been explaining the game. Basically, the things I'm picking up right here, those are Galactic Alliance credits, or GACs, which you need to use to buy guns and vehicles and all sorts of things. And I have 40 now. That's the amount of GACs that I need to have because, oh geez, okay, that didn't slow me down as much as I was worried it was gonna. Basically, you want to end the level with as few GACs as possible after buying the things you need, because it'll count up the amount of GACs you collected as like progress towards a medal. This is Mira, by the way. We beat the boss to the end of the level, so she weakens the boss a little bit.
Thanks, Mira.
Gotta love them facial textures. So yeah, basically, we're gonna have a shootout with the boss. Let's pretend I finished what I was talking about. Oh god, I've gotten a little bit confused. I forgot where the strafe button was. So yeah, we get the Gatling gun. That's like the last bit of our GACs that we spent, and we beat this guy, and that's the first level done. I hope that made any sense in spite of me not quite getting the commentary quite right. So yeah, here's where it's going to count up the GACs. You see we collected 10, which is like nothing. And also, it would count up the amount of LGMs, or little green men, we collected. But it's not going to do that because we're not getting enough. And this is why we play on New Game Plus, because those count as objectives towards medals, and you need a certain amount of medals to unlock each level and what have you. And yeah, so basically by playing on a completed file, we just avoid the need to do any of that. And yeah, that's about the basic format of the game. We don't do any of the side stuff. We just got to get to the end of the level very fast and shoot the bad guys. That's all there is to it. This is Flamar 1. Most of these planets are not actually from the TV show. Some of them are, but some of them aren't. And the villain in the previous level was just kind of some random, I think it was like a background character from one episode who didn't actually have a name that they just kind of put in because they ran out of ideas. But the villain of this level is an actual character from the show. She's Gravitina, and she like can manipulate gravity and stuff. You barely actually see it in the game, but it's just a fun little bit of info from the show, because this is a very good show. I recommend watching it. I would say to go and stream it on Disney+, but one, I don't recommend giving Disney your money, and two, it's not actually on Disney+. Oh, by the way, I'm about to do one of the only actual skips in the game. I hope I got it. Yes, I did. By landing in that pool of lava right as the boss cutscene started, we're able to move in the cutscene, damage the boss a little early, not kill her because it crashes the game, but instead we just kill her as soon as the fight starts. That's got to be like some kind of record for quickest boss fight in any video game. That was like, what? How many frames? Whatever. We're past that now, onto the third level, where in this level Buzz has to chase down an energy vampire who is named Nos4A2. That's the kind of writing we're dealing with here.
I can see that we'll have to do this the hard way.
For some reason, Nos4A2 is just faster than all the other bad guys. I guess, are vampires just fast? Is that a thing in vampire mythos? I guess it is now. But yeah, because of that, we have to spend the whole level on a hoverboard. Normally, in some levels, you might have seen in the previous two levels, we had the hoverboard, and we had like a limited amount of fuel. In this level, we just have infinite fuel, and we're on the hoverboard for the whole level up until the boss fight. I'm also going to explain something that you'll see in a little bit. We have bombs now in this level. Basically, in every level from this one onwards, there are bombs placed throughout the level that whenever the boss passes them, the bomb will be armed, and Buzz has like a minute or so to destroy the bomb and stop it from exploding the whole planet to smithereens. Because I guess when you're a petty thief, sometimes it just makes sense to immediately upgrade to terrorism the moment the space cops get on you. You know how it is. It be like that sometimes. So yeah, I've explained more or less the basics of most of the stuff you're going to see throughout this run. So this is normally the point where I like to turn my attention to the music, because the music in this game is actually pretty good. I don't know how well you can hear it over the ambient noise of this convention, but it's got a nice bit of a beat going to it. It was composed by a guy called Keith Leary, who you'll probably recognize his style if you played any like PS1, PS2 kind of licensed games. He did this, he did Stuart Little 2 on the PS1, Muppet Race Mania, the Cat in the Hat movie game on PS2, which was a Klonoa ripoff of all things. I don't know. But yeah, he's a good composer. Recently he's started doing like engineering work at Sony. He did like engineering work on Bloodborne, God of War, The Order 1886, Journey, which was actually run earlier this marathon, and he was part of the BAFTA-winning sound team for. So, big ups to that guy. Who'd have thought you could go from doing Buzz Lightyear to winning a BAFTA? We're at the boss fight, by the way.
I got this one, Buzz.
Now, this boss fight is strange compared to other bosses that we've had so far and that we will have, because after we strip Nos4A2's shields, each boss has like a series of color-coded shields that you have to strip with certain weapons. But after we do that, he's going to be invulnerable, and we need to take out these turrets on the outsides of the arena in order for him to actually be defeated. So we're going to do that. I don't know why he has this gimmick. No other boss before or after has this gimmick. So yeah, he's taken out. And he goes down. He just kind of dramatically falls over. Because that's the response I have when I get caught by the police. I drop to my knees and I go like, no! You know how it is. I don't know what my time is, but generally any Nos4A2 before about 6 minutes 50, maybe 7 minutes, is good pace for the run. This is Khan 1, that's Marl. I don't remember if he's actually a villain from the show, but he's there anyway, and we're going to have to show him what happens when you get on the wrong side of Star Command. I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm kind of grasping a little bit, grasping at straws with this commentary, but this is kind of a simple game to get to grips with. once you've seen one level, you kind of mostly know how it works. This is kind of a prehistoric vibe level kind of thing. We're going to avoid those pterodactyls because those are very annoying. They home in on you pretty accurately if you get in their aggro range. We're going to try and not go in the water here because it just kills all of your movement speed. It's incredibly irritating. Oh, we landed in the water just enough. Like our foot clipped inside of the water, and that meant that just we lost all of our speed. I don't know what is going on over to the side of me. There's something that apparently warrants like excited screaming. Something obviously more exciting than this speedrun of a 2000s PS1/PC licensed Disney video game. What's more exciting than that? I mean, really. I mean, I know that's what I get excited about. Give me those Disney licensed games. I say that as a joke, but honestly, like, these are just the kind of games that I find interesting. Like,
I mean, you're speedrunning it.
yeah, like as far as speedrun, I mean, yeah, I'm speedrunning it.
Yeah.
I should hope that a game is interesting enough that I've played through it multiple hundreds of times. Some of those times in front of a live audience. So yeah, but yeah, even on a casual level, I like games like this just because they're like. It's interesting to see the kind of sometimes where they've cut corners a little bit, where they've actually tried, and just see like the effort that was put in for something that should have very obviously been a cheap cash grab. Because games like this, they're fun. You know, I mean, I'm having fun. This game might look kind of janky, but you know, it's fun. Try it and be surprised. You know, dig out whatever movie games you might have played as a kid. Give them a try. You might be surprised. Anyway, here's the boss fight against Marl. I didn't even talk about the rocket launcher that we had for most of this stage. It's like the best weapon in the game. It owns everything. It one-shots most bosses if you get lucky with the hitboxes. So we're going to strip this purple shield, then the green shield. I swapped weapons a little bit too eagerly. And there he goes. That's how powerful the rocket launcher is.
All of the bosses so far have been very quick.
Yeah, the bosses tend to not put up much of a fight, especially because we're able to weaken like all of them. It's actually kind of funny if you don't beat them to the end of the thing, because then they get in one last line of like, "Ha-ha, you're not gonna catch me, Buzz Lightyear," and then you immediately just do that to them. This is the Fixer. He's an old, grumpy, wet sandwich of a person. He's also the first major run killer. He's a pretty heavily RNG-oriented boss, and sometimes he can just cause you to lose like 30 seconds just because he felt like it. We're gonna hope that that doesn't happen, but if it does, oh dear. Gotta get better with my driving. Oh no. Come on. Eyes on the road, Steb. Come on, girl. So yeah, we're going to pick up 2 levels of the plasma gun here. You want to pick up, for the most part with weapons, you want to pick them up like multiple copies because that upgrades them, like you saw with the like ice thrower type of gun that we had in Canis Lunis 1. That just increases the range of the gun, but when you pick up multiple plasma guns, it increases the amount of projectiles that you have. So basically you go from like a fast-firing projectile gun to a spread gun, which is pretty cool. You're gonna see here we have 2 shots. You have 2 bullets every time we fire. We're gonna go back up to 15, and we're gonna pick up another one here. And then this is 3 is all that we need because we're gonna get a free one for beating the Fixer to his boss fight. And now we don't want to collect any gax for like basically the entire rest of like the second half of this level. We have 1, that is enough. I think it's actually slightly slower to end the level with 0 because then the counter kind of like doesn't know what to do. So you just pick up 1 to like kickstart the counter and remind you that like, hey, well, I've got places to be. Come on, hurry up and show me my gax. We've been a little bit slow because of the bad driving. Normally, like, you wait for that kind of drop to hit, and if you can get up that hill before the drop hits, that's how you know that you're on decent pace. They call it a drop, like this is like serious electronic music, but like, you know what I mean. I'm a little flustered if you couldn't tell. It's like 5 p.m. I'm not used to doing my runs this late. Or like not after I've been walking around a convention all day. You know how it is. I'm making excuses. I'm counting cards at this point. We're about to go into the boss fight. Fun bit of trivia about the boss. The Fixer is voiced by Ed Asner, lead iconic actor, who you might also recognize as Carl Fredricksen from the movie Up, which I think makes him one of the only people to play both a Disney hero and a Disney villain. Not counting people like Corey Burton, who voiced like half the Disney canon in Kingdom Hearts. Anyway, if this guy does the lightning attack, okay, yes. He's been cooperative for once. I swear, whenever I do runs at home, he never stays on the ground like that. Sometimes he can just be going up and down forever, and it wastes so much time. It's so inconvenient. You don't want it to happen. We somehow didn't pick up any gax, even though bosses, when you get right up in their face like that, drop gax like it's candy on Halloween. Honestly.
Why don't you just back up? And let me do
Anyway, now we're going to see where the planets start repeating with different levels. This is Torque, who is the boss of the, who is like the, yeah, like the crime boss of the dude we fought on Joad 1 like 5 levels ago. And leeching off from the last bit of trivia, he is voiced by Brad Garrett, who is another Disney hero, Disney villain actor, because he voiced Chef Gusteau in Ratatouille, which is a similar kind of deep, gruff, yeah, whatever, Buzz, except with a French accent. It's kind of, you don't believe it at first, but like once you pick up on it, you realize it. My train of thought for like the rest of the stage is completely gone. There was a slightly different GAC route we used to do in the stage that involved going in there and picking up a rocket launcher. But actually, I realized that's way slower, and I don't know why I do it. Oh, Jesus. Didn't want to bonk onto that. Anyway, we get onto this. I'm sorry, hole in my brain. I can't explain the stage properly. I wish I could, but, like, we're far past the point of things I could have required context. Well, basically, we're going to do the level the way they sort of intend us to, instead of trying to be clever and, like, being weird about it. We're going to pick up the 2 guns that it gives us for free and actually try and do the boss instead of...
I got this one, Buzz.
Because what you can do is if you stick your face right up in there, you can fire a rocket but into the shield, but it'll hit the boss and sort of bounce between and just do a bunch of damage. But actually, it's faster to just do the boss the intended way. Who would have thought? Kind of saw it there. The plasma gun projectile kind of got lodged inside him and it made like a that like noise is the noise it makes to try and tell you, hey, you're using the wrong weapon. But it still does a little bit of damage, and sometimes when like it's bouncing exponentially like that, it doesn't really matter. That chip damage really adds up. Anyway, this is Skreel, who has the best voice in the game. And we're going to do the best speed strat in the game. Wait a little bit. Because there's an enemy we need to kill up ahead, but if we go right away, then when we kill him, Skreel will be standing on top of him, and we won't be able to pick up the gax, and we'll have to wait anyway. So it's a little bit easier if we just let him get a little bit of a head start on us, because then we can get ahead of him anyway when we have this jetpack. This is another level with that like green water from the first Khan level. Thankfully, I believe this is the last level that has it. Unless I'm forgetting something, which I could be doing. I mean, look at the last run. Speedrunners, you look at the last run that happened here. Speedrunners, sometimes we just forget things that happen in our games. It's just a way of the business. No, I don't mean to say that to throw shade. Argic, I love you. But it was just a handy example to have at the time to make me look less like I'm being forgetful. You know how it is. So yeah, this stage kind of doesn't have a lot going on, other than the GAC route is kind of weird because we need to get 60 GACs, and we're not going to get many of them near the start of the stage, because like a lot of enemies have long as hell death animations that like we can kill them in time where we can potentially pick up the GACs, but their death animations just push it over to where we'd have to wait. But Thankfully, we're going to get a bunch up here. There's like 10 up here. The bombs all drop 10 gags, except for one weird bomb later on that drops 11 for reasons I couldn't begin to explain. It's bizarre. But yeah, other than that, this level's just kind of standard, not much to talk about. Turtle, you got anything to add? What are your thoughts on the game so far?
I mean, they really like reusing that tank enemy a lot.
Insightful commentary there.
Yeah.
Ah.
I'm not sure what else to say. Like,
Yeah, fair.
go down very quick.
Yeah, I mean, this kind of is like, it's a video game that happened. Now I'm playing it. That's kind of the main thing of events here.
There's quite a bit of I'm kind of impressed at like how many, I guess, mechanics there are at the same time for like a 2000 like license.
Yeah, I mean,
Game. Like, you have like at the top left there, you have like the arrow at the bottom, the stuff at the top left. Like, it's kind of overkill for like a linear game like this. But then, like,
yeah, there's like a little bit more effort put in than you would expect.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be silent for this, by the way, because of this audio.
I softened him up for you, Buzz.
Thanks, Mira.
Always willing to lend a helping hand.
Good audio. All I can assume happened there is that somebody messed up when like doing the files or whatever and got his hurt sound and his death sound mixed up. Because when he dies, he just goes like, ah! But when he gets hit, he goes like, no!
Here, I come in peace.
This is the aptly named Ice World, by the way. It has ice physics, so it's the worst level in the game. We can nullify the ice physics by picking up a shield, but we need to manage them for like the first part of this level, which is one of the hardest parts of the run. I think I'm doing well at it. Okay, yeah, we got the bomb, got the 10 gax. Get this. Yes, perfect movement there. That is actually incredibly difficult. I had to like spend a good hour or two one evening just like making that muscle memory because I'd lost too many runs to it. Now this stage is like, the GAC route is like the opposite of the last stage, where we're gonna pick up 105 GACs very quickly, and then for like the second half of the stage, we barely need any. Thankfully, these tanks give it to us pretty good, because they are, oh geez, my weapon swap didn't quite go through, because they drop like 25 GACs. So it's all good. There, we have 107, that is perfect. Because we need to take these 3 ludicrously expensive bounce pads. That is the only mandatory LGM of the speed route. It's the only one we're going to be collecting, unless I mess up a skip later. Oh, missed a 5 gax there, but it's all right. We can get 10 from this. And yeah, because we picked up the shield, we've sort of nullified the ice physics. But the downside is we have to listen to this sound effect the entire time, which sounds like someone like auto-tuned themselves blowing through a straw. It's an incredibly bizarre sound effect. I'm gonna hope I don't aggro onto these like B enemies. I've aggroed onto the B enemies. Oh dear, they've stripped the shield. So we're gonna have ice physics again for a little bit. But thankfully we're gonna be able to pick up a shield before going back into the boss fight. We're gonna take this teleporter, which is like, oh god. This is like one of the only teleporters we take during the run, because for the most part, teleporters don't take you far enough to be worth it, and they get rid of your vehicle, so...
Buzz's face looks like he ate 11.
Oh yeah, Buzz's face is great. The facial textures in this. Talking of facial textures, this is the plasma monster, by the way. Looking like he's got about 7 polygons in his entire model.
Lend a helping hand.
But no, really, I don't really like it when speedrunners rag on games like that, where they're like, oh, this game's made well, what were they thinking? Because, like, you know, game developers, they work hard. There's a lot of effort going in, and sometimes it's the publisher's fault, it's the budget's fault, it's the engine's fault, it's whatever. It's a lot of things. It's usually not the dev's fault for being lazy. So, like, give game developers some slack.
I mean, like, especially with a licensed game, like, there's probably
Yeah.
a lot of publisher pressure and things like that.
Oh yeah, you were talking about like unnecessary effort. This is a water level. They made like a whole new method of control and a new model for Buzz just for this one level. I don't know why They could have done any other level. There are other planets from the show that aren't in this game, like Capital Planet, Roswell, Rhizome. They're not in this game, but instead they had to put in the fish level. But you know what? I'm glad they put in the fish level, because the fish level has my favorite music in the game. I don't know if you can hear it that well, at least not over me trying to be heard over this like ambient sound of the convention. But there's a really weird kind of like Indian Hindi kind of motif going on, and it's a bop, honestly. There you go, you can kind of hear it coming through. Oh geez. We want to kill as many of these enemies as possible just because they don't really get much in our way, but when they do, you'll know about it, because like their projectile attacks will stop you dead in your tracks. But thankfully we have a homing plasma gun, which only appears on like 2 levels, but it's tied with the rocket launcher for like best weapon in the game. It just destroys everything in basically one shot. We're gonna see it again in the second to last level. And yeah, that's just my treaty on why, my thesis statement rather, on why that gun is, you know, it's a pretty good gun. Yeah, I'm just gonna kind of groove out to the music till the end of this level. Because we're coming up to the end of the level anyway. You can see the progress up there. We're like handily beating the boss. We're not gonna pick that up. That's a regular plasma gun. We don't want it.
I got this one.
And now if you focus during this cutscene, you can see as the camera pans through Buzz, you can see the inside of his facial texture mirrored on the inside of his model. So yeah, that's just a fun little bit of texturing. Now this guy's kind of weird because this boss, unlike most other bosses, has a Y-axis to work on, and that is actually one of the cleanest black fins I've ever had. I'm very surprised that went as well as it did. But I'm not going to complain. Also, the GAC counts have been surprisingly low. Normally, like, when you get right up in the meat of a boss, you end up picking up like 60 GACs or something ridiculous like that.
Buzz Lightyear, I tire of you.
This is Warp Dark Matter, who's one of my favorite villains from the show. He's basically like Buzz's partner in the pilot movie who, spoiler alert, fakes his own death and turns out to have been a double agent of Zurg the entire time. Deepest lore for the goddamn Buzz Lightyear cartoon. Like I said, it's a good show. They put effort in, just like with this game. This level, though, sadly, is probably one of my least favorite. It's not that much fun. There's a lot of things you can get caught on. Like these leech enemies. Thankfully, I'm just kind of bonking into them. But they are incredibly annoying because if they latch onto your head, they reverse your controls and also drain all of your GACs, which is incredibly irritating. If that happens, basically your run of the level is dead. There's not really anything you can do about it, because I don't think there's a way to get them off short of just spamming every button on the controller and hoping for the best. I'm gonna go through this field of haphazardly placed enemies. Take this bounce pad. Here is the 11 GAC bomb. You see there, we had 9, we have 20 now. I don't know why that drops 11, but we're just gonna have to accept this and move on. John Burton from Game Hut worked on this game. I should ask him. Maybe he'll do a YouTube video on it. There's a lot of things with this game that actually I could probably do with asking them about. That's the great thing about small games like this, is the devs are just kind of there, and usually they're free to just answer questions about stuff. I mean, I haven't thought to do that with this game yet, because for the most part I know what's going on, but you know, maybe I could someday track down John Burton or like someone else from Traveler's Tales. So yeah, this is some Traveler's Tales from the days before they became the Lego company. We're gonna bounce off the lava here, get the Gatling gun. Hopefully pick up both of the guns here. This is actually surprisingly difficult. Okay, we got both the guns. That is actually surprisingly difficult to get either one or neither of them. And the lightning gun is the most important one. We got it. So hopefully this boss fight should go well. I think in my PB I didn't get that, so this is actually a chance to save some time. Oh no, Buzz, don't. I like flicked back too hard on the stick and Buzz turned around. Okay, but that was a pretty decent fight overall. Warp's hitbox is kind of weird. Some of the bullets kind of go through him, some of them don't. They don't have the same kind of pushback on him that they do on other bosses. And Warp is already pretty fast to begin with, so it's just kind of annoying. This is Trade World 2. Yes, there is a great big sign in the back saying CD Hotel. Or is it CD? Yeah, it's CD Hotel. I couldn't remember if it was CD Motel. The draw distance for this game is so low that it can't even render that sign from the start of the level. Which, I mean, it's kind of fitting for Capitalism Planet for these things to be done on the cheap. Sorry, I know I shouldn't be saying things like that in a marathon setting. I'll leave that for my own stream. I'm very sorry. Anyway. This is a level. After that joke, my thought process is kind of thrown. We're on good pace for the start, seeing as how we're beating XL over to this part of the thing. That villain, by the way, is XL. He is basically the experimental form of, like, the prototype version of Buzz's robot partner, XR. And basically, he's mad that Star Command didn't continue working on him and instead moved on with the XR project. He's just really mad about it, and he takes out his angst by breaking stuff. He's pretty relatable, if I'm honest. I'm gonna take out some more of these bees. Sometimes I call those enemies wasps, sometimes I call them bees. It's not consistent. I'm not a very consistent person. I'm gonna wait for these enemies to spawn and then hit the boost just to ration the fuel, so that we run out either just before or just after we hit this bounce pad. Okay, it was just after, which is slightly suboptimal. If we'd have just left it like a millisecond later, everything would have been fine, but whatever. I'm gonna pick up this ice gun here, because what the game wants us to do for this boss fight is use, like, touch turrets to turn them over to our side and make them damage XL. But the shield that the turrets damage is weak to the ice gun, so actually we can just pick up the ice gun and just kind of nay-nay on him, you know what I mean? Oh, by the way, this guy's here. I haven't been pointing this out, but, like, ever since Trade World 1, this guy has just kind of been showing up as a regular enemy. That was the boss from the first level. He's just been relegated to regular enemy for the rest of the game. No other enemy gets that treatment. I think there's a point in the final boss, because the final boss spawns waves of enemies, and there's a point where the final boss spawns 3 of him at once. He goes from boss to an enemy so unremarkable that the game could spawn 3 of him at once. What a fall from grace. Now, if I've done this level right, I will be able to get to the end just before the music loops, but I don't think it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. The music's going to loop. Yeah, the music looped. Oh well. Slightly suboptimal Trade World 2. Whatever. So yeah, XL is the only boss in the game with a blue shield, and the ice gun will just kind of rip through it. In fact, I'm going to hold down the button on it so I hit him as soon as he's in range, but watch his health go down. Intimidating boss fight. The next level, Canis Lunis 2, is probably the most infamous one if you've played this game casually. It's very difficult, but actually, we don't have to worry about that because thanks to pretty much the only other skip in the game, a little something that I like to call the trans rights are human rights skip, we are going to basically completely break the level in half. Normally the boss locks the door behind him and we have to defeat waves of enemies to unlock the door, but instead we're just going to go over here, grab onto this thing, clip through the wall, and that's it, we win. Now, the boss is frozen there. Because of his speed, they try and stagger him, so he, like, only runs ahead after you unlock the door. But because we didn't unlock the door, he's stuck there. We can just go through the rest of this level at our own leisure. Short of us, like, actually dying, there is no way we can lose this level. The hardest level in the game just became unlosable. I think that's wonderful. This is honestly the reason I started running this game, because when I was a kid, I had this game for PS1, and I didn't have a PS1 memory card, so every Saturday, I would have to, like, commit my whole day to trying to beat this game, and I could never get past this level. And then I looked up a speedrun of it for fun, saw this trick being done, and I was just like, what? So yeah, that's fun. So if you're like me and you had horrible childhood memories of trying and failing to beat this level, maybe try speedrunning the game. Also, maybe try speedrunning it because there are maybe 3 other runners and none of them are active. I am the only person in this game who is doing runs that aren't ILs. Just getting that off my chest. Oh no, that's bad. That doesn't usually happen. We get this. Oh no, pick it up. Come on, Buzz. So yeah, I guess credit for finding that skip goes to my friend Andrea, Cyberdemon531, who I don't remember if she was the person who found that skip, but she was the person who proved it worked on PC. Because if you do that on PS1, then Buzz will just fall into the void because the rest of the level isn't loaded. But on PC, it is loaded. Ah, I went to like rub something in my eye, but my glasses were in the way. I forgot I had them on. We've been building up to 60 gax for this whole level because there's a bounce pad at the end here that costs 60 gax to take. So we're going to take it. We can't afford the other one. 120 gax would just require too much farming. And you can see the boss all the way back there. And now we're going to fight him. Sorry if I'm tapping the microphone there. I just had something in my eye, you know.
Willing to lend a helping hand.
So here's the boss. He's a slippery customer. I mean that literally. Like as soon as we hit him there, he goes flying. That was a relatively clean Wirewolf though. And again, I'm surprised I didn't pick up that giant pool of gax that he had lying in front of him. We only had 25, and considering we had like 2 going in, that's not bad. Anyway, this is Planet Z, the second to last level in the game, which will be the first of our 2 showdowns against Zerg. Zerg, annoyingly, is one of the only characters whose voice actor from the show they didn't get back, which is annoying because Wayne Knight was like one of the highlights of the show, in my opinion. He's so good in that show. I'm a bit of a voice acting nerd. I do some voice acting on the side every now and again, so it's nice to have your favorites, to know who you can look to for how to do a good performance. Anyway, this is actually one of the more dangerous levels, despite the fact that we're going to be rollicking through it with the homing plasma gun that we had in Bathios, which is like right up here. Because there is a skip that means we're going to take a teleporter. That means we bypass a bomb, which means if we don't quite play well enough, then by the time we get to the end of the level, Zerg might catch up enough to activate that bomb. And if a bomb is active, you can't go into the boss fight. So if we do that, if we take that teleporter and then the bomb is armed, then we basically have no choice but to restart the level, which loses like 2 minutes or something ridiculous like that. Pick up this health here, and we're just gonna I stumbled over my words there. We're just gonna kinda tank all this damage because we're playing on the easy difficulty because there's no rule saying that we can't. Just gonna go through here. If I was playing on the harder difficulty, we're playing on Cadet. If I was playing on Ranger, you'd know about it because I would be taking a lot more damage and my health situation would be a lot scarier. We're gonna hope this guy doesn't bonk us off the platform. He didn't. Gonna take out that. Kinda wish I'd picked up that health just for like a little bit of safety, but oh well. Keep our ammo topped up. Take this bounce pad. And now here's the teleporter down here that we're going to take. The camera like flips around kind of weird so that it's always facing the entrance so the Buzz can turn around and like face out towards the camera defiantly. Even if the camera is like at the back of the teleporter, it will instantly flip around. I think I'm pretty sure we're on decent enough pace that Zerg isn't going to hit that bomb, though even if I'm on like the best pace I've ever been throughout this level, coming up to this entrance to the boss fight, I'm still going, please, 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 please.
I got
Okay,
this one,
okay.
Buzz.
That is surprisingly nerve-wracking, even if you know you're on good pace.
Soften him up for you, Buzz.
So here's the fight with the main antagonist of the series, but somehow it isn't the final boss. There we go. And despite the fact that he gives the iconic, "Curse you, Buzz Lightyear," he's not been beaten yet. We've still got to go into his throne room, which is the final level here, Planet Z2, Zerg's throne room. And this whole level is the final boss. And this is another sort of RNG part of the game. Depending on how much Zerg cooperates, we can just lose like another 30 seconds here. It's almost like the Fixer all over again. He's going to spawn in waves of enemies, which are how we're going to be able to buy the weapons that we need. And we really do need those weapons, because you saw the default blaster damaging him at the start. It does like no damage. Whereas like a rocket launcher with a good amount of upgrades to it does like what I would consider acceptable damage. Now, projectiles in this game do actually have some knockback to them, which you can kind of see here, because like when all of these enemies are trained on you, it's actually enough to sort of like halt Buzz's forward momentum entirely. Gonna take out this guy, collect the rocket launcher. I'm gonna be trying to do that setup that I just did there to like hit Zerg at the very bottom of his hitbox, because that can cause a quick kill to happen. I'm gonna try and go for it here. Oh, okay, that's not gonna be enough damage, I think, but yeah, that wasn't enough damage, but still. It means that instead of picking up the 3rd level of rocket launcher, oh wait, damn it! Okay, I went for something risky and it didn't work. Whatever. Zerg's hitboxes are weird. Sometimes he just takes no damage. I'm going to pause going into the second phase, because for some reason the music goes away in the second phase unless you pause. And yeah, what I was trying to do was make it so that we could pick up the 2nd level of the 3rd level of rocket launcher later, because if you pick up the 3rd level of rocket launcher going into the 2nd phase, then you can't afford to buy the plasma gun, and you have to like hit him a little bit with the standard blaster to make him drop enough money. Anyway, this is actually a really good 2nd phase. 2nd phase is normally where he's the most troublesome, and he's already on his last bit of health. Time is going to come up when this fight ends. He mostly only takes damage when he's moving, because I guess it like pushes him further into rocket launcher hitboxes. And time. That was an incredibly clean Zerg. I am surprised about how well that went. That felt like a really good run in general. And now we're going to have this like little FMV cutscene that has nothing to do with the events of the game. This is Commander Nebula. He's like a character from the shows, like Buzz's superior, I guess. Let's watch this cutscene before we get into anything marathon related. Let's just enjoy the cutscene.
It has passed through the shields.
This is actually just a clip from the show.
Great guns! Fellas, we're done for.
And then, as all hope is lost, Buzz Lightyear lands on the missile, physically pulls it away from Star Command, and rides it out into the sunset. Congratulations.
What a beautiful sight.
Beautiful. And here is your credit sequence, where you just get every enemy in the game parading around the final boss arena. What was my time on that?
Around 40 minutes 45?
40 minutes 25. That is
45.
pretty good. Pardon?
45.
Oh, 45. Okay, I will take that for a marathon. Actually, do you mind if I show off a glitch?
We are so far ahead of schedule that please, yes, show off.
Right, okay. I am gonna have to restart the game. I hope you don't mind, because this credits is unskippable.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm gonna Alt F4 out of the game. And then
Oh no, you've shown off our behind the scenes.
Oh no. Anyway, we're gonna start the game back up again.
Nice 2000 game launcher.
Okay, I was really worried the game wasn't going to start back up again.
It freaked me out for a second there.
Yeah, I don't... It is perfectly on brand for this game to do that. On me. Anyway, this is a skip that I didn't... This is a trick that I didn't do in the run. Because it's not relevant to this category. It's only relevant for any percent and 100%. But basically, I'm going to have a go at setting it up. What you need to do is you need to go into the time trial mission for Flame R1 and quit out at a very specific point, which makes other time trials start behaving weird. So I'm going to go into Flame R2. How's Lightyear's Star Command? No time to lose. Let's get busy. And we're going to go over here. And we're going to take the thing. The route is a little bit different in the time trials because the placement of fuel and vehicles and such is changed up ever so slightly. We're going to go onto this hoverboard here. And I'm going to try and do this by position, but if you play optimally, you can do it by time as well. You need to quit out at a very specific point in the level. So I'm going to go over here, pick up this other hoverboard, and do a quick pause buffer. And if I've done this right, in the fade out, I will be on that slope. Now we go all the way over here. And if I've done this right, something incredible will happen. They give you 8 minutes to do this level, because it's pretty long having to run through it. The trans rights or human rights skip doesn't work the same way it does in the main game, but we're going to do it anyway. We go over here, and if I've done this right... I've not done it right. Okay, so we go back to Flame R1, and we have another try. I think I quit out a little bit too early. I'm not entirely sure. Either that or I was like, I might have been slightly too far. My voice is going slightly hoarse because I'm trying to hear myself over the background noise. Oh dear. I'm gonna need a drink of water after this. There are some days where I can get this basically first try, and some days where I take like 7 attempts to get it. And that's just in isolation. In an actual run, I can't even imagine. Oh, I've gone slightly to... Okay, I'm going to go around and have another go at that, because I messed up the positioning. Oh dear. Okay. Let's try this. Might have been too far to the right. But let's have another go. I didn't do it again.
You get one more chance. You get one more chance.
Okay, that's how the stakes are high. One more chance.
I feel like putting that pressure on you might make you do it correctly.
Could do. If it doesn't, then whatever. More secrets for me. I'll get it in a run eventually if I ever decide to that I actually feel like running any percent. Because I don't feel like running any percent. Okay, okay. Okay, that was definitely too late. So I'm going to wrap around again. Hang on. I'm going to line myself up. That's possibly too far to the right again, but we'll see what happens. If it doesn't work, then c'est la vie.
How precise is it?
It's incredibly precise.
Right.
After a while, you just get a feel for it. Evidently, I haven't got that feel today. I'm a little rusty. Okay, please. Yes! I got it!
What?
I don't know why, but that makes the level end immediately.
Oh, great!
And I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet, Matt. That's the slightly less good version of this. Now that I've got it set up, I don't need to do it again. It's just active now. I go into Trade World, I do the time trial here, and get ready for the fastest speedrun of anything ever.
These are big words. Did I blink?
That happened. That just happened.
That was quick.
Forever.
That's a real thing you can do.
Well, that's speedrunning.
That is speedrunning. If there is anyone out there who has been inspired to run this game, run any percent. With this, it's like a free 5-minute time save. Please, we need to revitalize. We need to. Well, I say revitalize. This game was never vitalized to begin with. We need to vitalize this game.
Well, that
Yeah,
was.
I guess that's how I'm ending my run, with a call to arms.
Well, that was Steb with Buzz Lightyear of Star Command. Next up, we're going to have a game that I love. It's Octopath Traveler by